So as today we are going to discuss the peptic ulcers. So what are the ulcers? Ulcers means there is the discontinuation in the or the break in continuity of the skin or covering epithelium. So when we talk about the on the skin, then there is means the wound there is outside the body, that is the skin. When we are in context to inside the body, then there is the ulcer, means there is the whatever the covering epithelium, that is mucosa, whatever kind of the mucosa the covers that the layer, that is that that occurs the discontinuation, means there is the break in continuity. So you can see the picture also, there is a break in continuity of this mucosa. You can see this mucosa, submucosa and muscular layers. So these are the layers. When there is the discontinuation in this one or either one or two or more than two layer, so then it is called the ulcers. Why it is called peptic ulcers? Because it has been seen that the ulcers developed due to the effect of or due to the presence of acid and pepsin. That's why they call the peptic ulcers. So although it is not always has seen that there is must be requirement of that acid and pepsin, but somehow it shows that sometimes even in the absence of that acid and pepsin, the ulcers can be developed. But the broad spectrum, if somebody says peptic ulcers, it means the ulcers develop due to the presence of acid and pepsins. That is called peptic ulcers. So these peptic ulcers, on the basis of that the chronicity, they are classified in the acute and chronic. So first we discussed and on the when we classify these ulcers on the uh, basis of site, then there is the most common site, that gastric ulcers and duodenal ulcers. So out of this gastric and duodenal, out of this in the peptic ulcers, the 70 to 80% are ulcers present in the duodenum, and rest 15 to 20% ulcers developed in the stomach or the in the stomach. So that is gastric ulcers. So the stomach ulcers, we just discussed the peptic ulcers in two heads, acute and chronic, and gastric and duodenal ulcers. Okay, so the common site for the peptic ulcers are, as we know, the first part of the duodenum, the most common part, and the second is the lesser curvature of the stomach, that is gastric ulcers. The other less common sites are that first the joining of that esophagus and stomach, that is lower part of the esophagus, as well as stroma after the gastric surgery. The stroma is the part when we when there is a requirement of the discontinuation of the alimentary canal, then we create an artificial opening of that our the stomach or alimentary canal outside the skin, and to create one pouch for that for the healing or any other when we required, there is diversion of the alimentary canal. So that area where we create an opening over the skin, that called stroma. So uh, the ulcer over the stroma are also common. That also comes in the peptic ulcers. And other the Michel's diverticulum. Michel's diverticulum are the diverticula present in the colon and some part of the ileum. So these are the diverticula present in the column that always has the gastric mucosa. That is a kind of ectopic mucosa. Ectopic means when in our body, when some kind of tissue it not present its normal position it present otherwise anywhere in the body, then it is called ectopic. So when the ectopic gastric mucosa is present in the diverticula, in the Meckel's diverticulum, so that's why in that area there is a development of the ulcers. So that also comes under the peptic ulcers. So the common site of the peptic ulcer are the first part of duodenum and lesser curvature of the stomach. The lesser common sites are the lower part of the esophagus, the stomach, that fundus of the stomach, and stroma of the after gastric surgery, and in the Meckel's diverticulum. So first we discuss the acute ulcers. Acute ulcers are usually presents having a short time history, and they are the multiples in numbers, and these ulcers are usually not very deep. It's superficial but multiple ulcers. So that these ulcers are not creating any kind means any kind of the complications, and these are the self healed. If that causative factor is devoid, is removed, then usually the condition is self limiting and not very surgical management is required. Usually the patient has a short history of that taking injection of the aspirin or butazolidine, because these medicines are uh, tend to damage the gastric mucosa, they damage the gastric mucosal barrier. So that's why they cause the gastritis, leading to development of the ulcers. And the acute ulcers are usually followed after the hypovolemic shock, or a person underwent the severe illness for the little longer time, or the the patients having cardiac dysfunctions, means that patient is under the uh, hypovolemic shock, or the patient has not enough cardiac output to give the uh, sufficient perfusion of that gastric as well as the duodenal mucosa, so that that mucosa comes under the stress, become hypoxic, and leading to the stress gastritis, development of that stress ulcers. A patients having long-term sepsis also may develop these gastric ulcers or the duodenal ulcers, maybe due to the sepsis having that in the comes in the blood, and that causing the septicemia, and that septicemia may release the small microemboli. That microemboli comes into the mucosa and submucosa, and there is the that blocks that channel blood channels in that mucosa and submucosal area, so that tissue becomes hypoxic and leads to the gastritis and development of the ulcers. Occurs after the cerebral trauma of the neurological operations. Usually the patients having the neurological operations called the Cousin's ulcer may have this after that during the long time the surgery, the neurological surgery, the patient may have take long time sedatives or some drugs that may causes that in the acute ulcers in the gastric as well as in the duodenal. The patients after the major burn injury also have tends to develop the ulcers in the stomach as well as the duodenum. So these are called the curdling ulcers. That we can probably understand the pathophysiology behind this kind of the ulcer, because when the patients have the severe burn injury, that patients may went into means surely the patient will go into the hypovolemic shock, and if the shock is reversible or in the non-reversible conditions, and the patient has take long time to resuscitate, and the perfusion is not proper, so that hypoxic conditions may lead to the stress gastritis, and after that gastritis there is a development of the ulcers. or the patients having the history of taking the steroids also may develop this kind of that acute ulcers called the steroid ulcers. So these are the few conditions which may develop, which may causes the acute ulcers in the duodenum as well as in the stomach. That is called the acute peptic ulcers. Usually these ulcers are uh, shallow, not very deep, but multiples in number. Now we discuss that chronic ulcers. So in the chronic ulcers and the chronic peptic ulcers, the 75 to 80% ulcers are the duodenal ulcers, and the rest are the gastric ulcers. So in this first we discuss the duodenal ulcers. So the acute duodenal ulcers are rare in duodenum. Means the acute peptic ulcers are rare in duodenum. These usually occurs in the stomach. So the features of the acute duodenal ulcers are similar to the acute gastric ulcers. 85% of the duodenal ulcers are present in the first part, 2 centimeter of the duodenum. So duodenum has the 4 part. That first part of the duodenum is the most commonest site for the development of these ulcers. The next 10% in the next 3 centimeters and 5 centimeter in the 5% in the ampulla of bladder. Okay, so 85% in first 2 centimeters, 10% in next 3 centimeters, and remaining 5% in the ampulla of the bladder. Average size is 1 centimeter in diameters, having various shapes: the oval, circular, concentric, pear shaped, or triangular. Means the duodenal ulcers may vary in different kind of the shapes and or usually smaller in size than the gastric ulcers. The ulcers have punched out appearance with the margins are overhanging. Punched out means when the ulcers are just means there is the sudden the edge of the ulcers are usually the perpendicular to the base of, means that somebody has punched and remaining just take out the tissue. It looks like that. So the punched out and along with the margins of or overhanging in that means these usually have the cavity. Understand? Means the ulcers are showing the characters of the punched out ulcer. We already had discussed in the ulcer. There is different kind of the punched out, undermined, rolling ulcers, and the marginal ulcers. So here we are discussing means the characteristics of the duodenal ulcers are the punched out appearance, and the base of that ulcer is usually covered with the mucopurulent debris. Means there is the mucopurulent discharge of the debris, cellular debris, the damaged tissue is all can be seen in at the base of the ulcers. So these are the few characteristics, and sometimes there is the multiple duodenal ulcers may be there. Though it's rare, 10 to 15% only cases may have that multiples duodenal ulcers. Means usually the ulcers are 1 or 2 are usually present at the either in the anterior wall of the duodenum or into the posterior wall of the duodenum. But in the 10 to 15% cases, it has been seen that the ulcers are present in both anterior and posterior wall. So the condition where the ulcers are present in both the wall, anterior and posterior, that condition is called the kissing ulcers. Why it is important to discuss the kissing ulcers? Because the conditions when you found a patient has ulcers in that both anterior and posterior wall, it means that the patients what are the consequences may happen in that patients. In that respect, it is important to know that the importance of the kissing ulcers. We just discussed when we discussed that anatomy of the duodenum. We see there is the blood supply. So just just behind the posterior wall, there is the gastroduodenal artery passes to that the posterior wall of that first part of the duodenum. So when there is a ulcer at the posterior wall and the posterior side of the ulcer, when it become deep and erode that artery, so that causes the severe bleeding. And the anterior side of the ulcers has no any kind of the artery, so the anterior ulcers on the anterior wall of that duodenum are more tend to perforate, while the ulcer in the posterior wall of the duodenum are more tend to bleed. So these are the two major complications which may occur in the patients of the peptic ulcers, either the perforations or there is severe hematemesis, severe bleeding. So these both are very dangerous conditions. These ulcers usually become deeper and reach up to the muscles layer. So when the muscles layer ulcer reaches at the muscular layer of that duodenum wall, and when the ulcers healed in the post healing period, when the ulcers heal, then due to the muscles involvement of the muscles, there is a scarring. When there is scarring, there is a fibrosis occurs. So that may cause a great amount of the stenosis, fibrosis, the narrowing of that lumen of that uh, duodenum. So that may causes that pyloric stenosis conditions in the adult also, following to the duodenal ulcers. That's why very important. Means the first part of the duodenal ulcer is the most common site for that peptic ulcers, out of which 15% cases may be that kissing ulcers. And if these ulcers, when the ulcer heals due to involvement of the muscular layer, there is this great amount of that stenosis occur, scarring occurs, that may lead to the stenosis in the wall. So that may cause uh, the acquired pyloric stenosis, congenital pyloric stenosis we already had discussed. So, what are the etiological factors for the development of the duodenal ulcers? So, that is the most important. That is the acid hypersecretions. Anyhow, these acid hypersecretions causes the development of the duodenal ulcers, because when the hyper acidic bolus or chyle food is enters into the duodenum, and that may erode the wall of the duodenum, that may cause the inflammation in the wall of the duodenum, and that may lead to the ulcers formations. There are some predisposition has always seen that runs through in the families, that these conditions. There are some endocrine dysfunctions, mean some conditions where the endocrine system of the body is not active properly, and that leads into the hyper secretions of that acids. That conditions called that just like the Zollinger-Ellison syndromes, the Cushing syndromes, and the parathyroid tumors. So these conditions may lead to hyper acid secretions in the stomach, that may cause the development of that duodenal ulcers. The liver's diseases. So liver diseases, especially the liver cirrhosis. So that due to the liver cirrhosis, you know that there is in the liver cirrhosis there is the increased portal hypertension. So due to the portal hypertension, there is the backflow of that blood in the esophagus as well as the stomach. So the increased blood supply of that stomach and that stomach causes the hyper secretions of that acids. Emotional disturbance is also very much important. The patients who take the great amount of the stress, strain, or that emotional, they have also causes the hyper secretions of the acids in the hyper secretions of that gastric juices, that causes the duodenal ulcers. Diet and smoking are also very important factors. The diet which which has great amount of that the allergens or the great amount of that irritative irritations which causes the hyper secretions of that acids, means that the oil, fried, spicy food, and the smoking that it's aggravate that it aggravates the hypersecretions as well as the damage the mucosal uh, barrier, gastric mucosal barrier. So due to the damage of the gastric mucosal barrier, these these causes the erosive gastritis. So that erosive gastritis may lead into the development of the duodenal ulcers. And the H. pylori, we already had discussed that the role of the H. pylori in development of the gastric as well as the duodenal ulcers, that it hydrolyzes the urea and create a great amount of that ammonia, so that ammonia uh, creates an alkali environment which is not required in the gastric environment. This should be acidic environment. So as the ammonia is highly alkali, that trigger the feedback mechanism and that causes the hyper secretions of the acids uh, in the stomach, that may causes the overproduction of that gastric juices, and that irritates the gastric mucosa as well as that damage the gastric mucosal barrier and leading to the development of the ulcers. The decrease in bicarbonate productions. Usually, that bicarbonate is a very important part of that that mucus where the mucus secretions. So there is a great amount of the bicarbonate in there in the mucus. So if anyhow there is a decrease in the production of the bicarbonate, that causes that decreased mucus secretions, and that mucus is not also able to protect the gastric mucosa, that may lead to the damage of the damage of that layer and cause the ulcerations. So these are the duodenal ulcers. Now come to the gastric ulcers. The 80 to 85% are present on the lesser curvature, and rest 50 to 20% are in the greater curvatures. 10% in the antral, 2% in the pylorus canal, 3% in the cardia, and 5% the fundus and body. So there is distribution, means the most common site of the gastric ulcer is the lesser curvatures. The exact clarification behind this, why this is common in the lesser curvature, is very difficult to give, but that the most probable explanation will be that when somebody eats something, and it's most likely to if fluid at something we chew or we eat, it's come to the lesser curvatures, because this is against gravity, and this is the lesser curvature is comes always comes in the way of that food. So that's why whatever the irritative material, whatever the food or whatever the we take, it comes in the contact with the lesser curvature and comes into the stomach cavity. So that's why the that may be the probable reason that there is the development of the ulcers in the lesser curvature is more common than the other part of the stomach. So here also the H. pylori and NSAIDs are the very important etiological factors, along with the cigarette smoking. Incidence is same in both sexes, both male and females. It is more common in the elderly patients with low living in the low socioeconomic status. The gastric ulcers are similar to the duodenal ulcers, but these are the little larger in size and little deeper also. Gastric ulcers more than 25 centimeters diameters must suspect malignancy. The duodenal ulcer, the basic difference between the gastric ulcer and duodenal ulcer are there. The duodenal ulcers are occurs in the we discuss in the next slide, but here it means the the importance of the gastric ulcers are, though they are less common, but they have the more consequences, more dangerous consequences. The chances to development of the malignancy is more in this the gastric ulcer than the duodenal ulcers. So the etiological factors that diminish the mucosal resistance, I mean anyhow the mucosal resistance, that is the gastric mucosal barrier we already discussed. So that is the very important factor which prevent the damage of the gastric mucosa from that hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So if somehow the resistance of the mucus is damaged or diminished, that causes the erosion of the gastric mucosa and it leads to the development of the gastric ulcers. Next, the pyloroduodenal reflex. Pyloroduodenal reflex when the content of that the duodenum comes through the pylorus into the stomach. So that highly alkali material, just the bile juice comes into that stomach and causes the reflex gastritis. So that reflex gastritis may convert into that gastritis. The inflamed tissue may tend to have may causes the ulcers. So these ulcerations means pyloroduodenal reflex is the way is also important cause. Although it is an important cause, but sometimes it is difficult to explain that always the reflex is important for the depth, because the duodenal content may come in contact with into the pylorus part may come into contact with the antrum part, body part, but it's very difficult when that pylorus, the content comes into contact of that fundus part, but the ulcers are also present in the fundus part. So that's why always it is not possible that gastric ulcer are due to that pyloroduodenal reflex, but up to some extent it can be said that these ulcers may be due to the reflex of the content of the duodenum into the stomach. The mucosal trauma, anyhow, any kind of the mucosal trauma, that mucosa is a very important structure in the in the whole the body, but in the gastric area it is very important, which protects that our own tissue, our own gastric inner line of that mucosa and submucosa, the layers of the stomach, from that our own content, the gastric juice, hydrochloric acid. So this anyhow this mucosa is damaged either while the instrumentations, while during the investigations, or any other procedure, if there is intervention is done, anyhow if you have damaged the mucosa, that may cause the ulcerations. Local ischemia means that anyhow that the mucosa of the stomach, it went into the ischemia, the reduced perfusion may damage to the that causes the stress gastritis, and that may lead to the development of the ulcers. H. pylori is the that important factor we already had discussed so many times. So and antral stasis means when the food is remains little longer time in the antrum part of the stomach, so that also may cause that hypersecretions of the acids, and that may lead to the development of that ulcer formations. And next and most important things, NSAIDs overuse. If any persons, most likely the patients having the arthritis conditions, they take that painkiller NSAIDs for the longer periods, so that patients are on the more risk to development of the gastric ulcers, because that NSAIDs irritates the gastric mucosa and causes the erosive gastritis. So that erosive gastritis may convert into the ulcers in the stomach. So today we have discussed this up to here. In the next lecture, we discuss from that clinical features, and then investigation. Then we comparatively we discuss both gastric and duodenal ulcers. Then treatment methods.